Hey, it's That Millennial Dad back again, and I am excited that you're here. You may be here for an assortment of reasons. Who are you? Or maybe you've been following for a little while and you just want to get an update. Well, this is one of those updates, but it's also very specific because maybe you're here, and if this is your first time to see That Millennial Dad, me, this channel, welcome. It's small, it's humble, it's simple, but it's something that I'm doing on this journey of this thing we call life for my kids, for me, for you. Hopefully this is helpful. Maybe you're interested in pressure washing or power washing, soft washing, outdoor cleaning, something in that category, and you just want to get the tips. So I wanted to make a quick list of things not to do. So here's 5.5 tips about what not to do if you're pressure washing. So this first one is pretty obvious. Never ever go pressure washing. I mean, just before you even buy the pressure washer, make sure you have some closed-toed shoes. Don't do Crocs. Don't wear your favorite flip-flops or sandals out there. You gotta have some closed-toed shoes. Even if you didn't accidentally sweep a pressure washer tip and the high-speed water coming out, even if you didn't sweep that across your foot, you're still going to be blasting things off of something. And one of those things with so much pressure behind it could come off of a house or a car or the ground or whatever, and that could slice your foot open or damage something. Okay, so be careful. That's a really obvious one. That's actually going to be the one I count as the half, because I would hope that would just be a consideration. But that's not something you think about. You think, it's just like a garden hose. Well, there's a lot more power behind it. Second thing, especially if you're doing a driveway, if you're doing a hard surface like that, don't sweep. Don't do your big strokes back and forth. You dance. You dance with the wand, okay? You're going to feel weird when you do it, but you're not doing a sweeping action. You're actually moving very, very evenly across, especially with driveways. You'll see a lot of people who get their driveways done that they have this pattern because you're standing in one position, you're sweeping it back and forth. So don't sweep, dance, okay? Dance with the water. Okay, if you're new to pressure washing, one thing that people don't do sometimes is, regardless of the level, I have a commercial grade pressure washer. It's 3,800 PSI, so that's 3,800 PSI, and it's 4 gallons per minute. Now, this is not the biggest, fastest setup, but most of your ones that you grab at Lowe's, maybe you have your own pressure washer, you just bought it, they have a little tank in there that you can put soap in or bleach or anything like that. Now, you need to know the difference between upstream and downstream. So what I'm going to say is, don't put bleach or your own soap in something if it is an upstream mix. Okay, I'm going to briefly explain that if you're brand new to this. So if you're buying a simple pressure washer, you can get the soap to go into the water line. Now, you may be thinking, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm going to just spray soap onto my house with something else, and then I'm going to use my pressure washer for water. That's fine. Ignore this step, okay? But don't put bleach or something really harsh in those most common pressure washers that you can get, maybe a 2 gallon per minute or a 1 gallon per minute one that you're just gonna grab from Lowe's and take home, because if you put that into that little tank that's conveniently there, that's actually an upstream setup. So it's gonna take that soap and bleach through the tank, through your water pump. Okay, the pump is the thing that takes the water and creates all that pressure, and that's gonna put it through the pump into the hose. And so if it's a downstream, that means that the water comes from your hose or wherever your water source is. The water goes through the pump first, and then it picks the soap up. And that is a much better setup. That's what I personally do, so I don't destroy my water pump within the first 5 uses where you find it jamming or it's not working well. So if you're new to that, they may have recommended soap that won't damage, and that's okay. It doesn't have bleach. Doesn't have any harsh chemicals. Now, some of that, I mean, obviously bleach is biodegradable. Bleach is all the, it's kind of the bad one, but it works the best. So a lot of people use variations of that on a chemical level. I'm not going to get into all the whole, hey, it has to be caustic and basic or acidic and all those things. So the pH levels you want to get changed when especially when you're dealing with mildew and mold like we do here in the South. So, okay, I've spoken too much on that. So be careful what you mix, all right? You don't want to destroy your pressure washer that you just got. I have a little tricky setup that I might show on this channel later of how I do it, just for fun. So, okay, tip number 3, I believe. So whenever you are sitting there with your pressure washer, when you first engage the wand, I'm calling it the wand, the handle that has the little pipe that comes out and you have a little trigger of some sort, pop that pressure away from the surface. Never release the pressure onto the surface. Don't hold it right up to it and then, do that, because there's pressure building. So let's just say you've got 2,000 psi coming out and you're right next to a brick house and you put it right next to the brick and then you release it. You're actually releasing, in my opinion, this is not scientifically backed, but you might be, for example, releasing closer to 3,000 psi being so close. So you got to be really careful. And it's just for a second, but that 3,000 psi could take a chunk out of your brick, where you should pull the trigger away and sweep into where you're going, okay? So you don't want to damage the surface, especially if you're working on someone else's house, or your mom's car, right? So you're going to clean it and you stick it next to the paint, you release that. If you have something like mine, if you've got upwards of 4,000, 5,000 psi, you can peel the paint off of a car if you're not careful. You can dent something. You can rip up parts of concrete. You can just rip a piece of vinyl siding off of a house. Haven't done that, okay, but I've seen horror stories and it's been bad. So pop the pressure away. The fourth, never be brutal with the pressure washer, okay? Sometimes you're going to need chemicals. You cannot get it off safely with just pressure, okay? A little stain on your vinyl siding or something is better than having damage. So it's just your expectation. What I'm saying is don't have unfair expectations of yourself cleaning, or even a person like me who is actually, going to customers and clients' homes and I'm actually talking to them. Just have fair expectations, because sometimes there's going to be a stain there. Sometimes some things don't come out unless it's a very special chemical, or you have to do multiple passes. You got to come back later and put more chemicals on it, soak it, come back. It's just, that's the reality. So don't have unfair expectations, especially when it's yourself, because you might feel like, hey, I can get it off, or I can clean it better if I just get it closer or get a more narrow tip, because they've got different degrees. The smaller the degree, the more harsh it is. If you got a 0, that's pretty much shooting it in a straight stream. That can break a window, that can go clean through your foot. That's the harshest, but you've got all the way out to like 45 degree, which is much softer because it's wider, but it doesn't clean as hard. So you may think, oh, I can shrink it and I can get close and I can get it off, but maybe you'll damage something. So be careful. And the fifth tip of what not to do when pressure washing, power washing, whatever you're doing with that, is don't underestimate the gallons per minute, the GPM, if you will. Don't underestimate that. Now, what happens if you do underestimate it? Some people might go in and hook a hose up to it. They got their new pressure washer, and for some reason, it's really not getting enough water. You just don't feel like you have that pressure. Well, maybe your house isn't hooked up or ready for that. Now, most residential houses have certain amounts. You can usually be okay if you're under the 4 gallon per minute mark. But if you get something crazy, if you get a really high-end commercial pump, you really have to get a water tank at some point, because you won't get enough water out of a house spigot. Or maybe you didn't open it all the way, right? So don't underestimate that, and don't underestimate how much water is coming out. I mean, for my pump, it's pushing out 4 gallons per minute, which means for every minute I'm holding that, there's 4 gallons of water on the ground. So I've had places in yards where the house is looking great and everything, but I'm walking through mud doing it because of how much water is being thrown and sprayed around. So just be aware of that, and don't underestimate that, because Again, you also can use a lot. If you're using a soap mix, that soap mix can be gone in just a minute, So don't make sure you buy enough of this concentrate or this driveway wash or this bleach mix that you can make. Make sure that you're careful. Don't mix the wrong things. Okay, that's my other half. So I guess this is going to turn out being a 6-point tip. Don't mix ammonia with bleach and some other basic chemical. If you're scared of, you should not be mixing things if you don't know what it could do, because you can actually make deadly gases. So if you love chemistry, you're probably going to like pressure washing. If you get into it, I find it fun. I enjoy it. Maybe you don't. So I hope these tips have been helpful. If you have questions about it, if you're looking for services, anything like that, please feel free to reach out. You can reach me through the email, through this YouTube channel, through other ways. If you have my business card, you can reach out that way. I'm looking forward to helping some of you, answering questions. I don't know everything, but if I don't know it, I know people who do know everything, but I've just learned things over the years of what to do and what not to do. So I hope that's a little bit helpful and it wasn't too long-winded, and I look forward to helping you and seeing you again soon. All right, thank you so much. If you've watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you for joining, thank you for supporting, thank you for clicking. If you wouldn't mind clicking, liking, subscribing, commenting, asking questions, that would be a big help to me, and that would be a big help to the people who are searching for this information. I hope that maybe you would leave a like for the absolutely shameless amount of puns here, for the stained shirt, talking about tips. It could go left at any moment, but here we are. So I hope that you have enjoyed the endless onslaught of things and you would like this, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for watching That Millennial Dad.